live with the match. And to start things off, TSM really not doing all that much at the beginning of the round, sort of just investigating themselves, placing them all over the map, watching out for actually any counter aggression that would come out from the side of e-frag, but not going to be finding any of it. They're holding back pretty passively too. No really risky strategies being employed by e-frag just as of yet. You're not going to go for like a 4-man stack on one site and working for a retake strat or anything like that. Just the usual setup to try and counter out any aggression. But Victor, back behind the sandbags, will be the first to strike. He picks up a kill on the device, but Kerrigan, quick on the response there, finds that flashbang, and then takes him out there with a quick headshot in order to eliminate him and find an even trade. So nobody right now really having an advantage, as actually TSM fall away from middle and are going to choose not to use that for the time being, which this is actually really good, because what this is going to do now, as you can see, it's forcing Spy Leader off the point a little bit. He actually wants to investigate highway a little more, and now he's sort of out of position to hold the site. Not only this, but the rest of e-frag too are still keeping a lot of their members onto the B site, but Spy Leader moving back in at just the right time. He's able to find a trade once again. That is still the only thing that they've picked up for now, as he grabs that one, but a nade rolls in there, does a lot of damage over to Kerrigan because he does not have armor invested in this round, and the rest of e-frag now going to come in for a very swift retake. Dreamer, good job of picking up a kill there, grabs the second one. They've already got bomb control back, just has to deal with Dupree sitting inside of A main, but that gets shut down by Dreamer too. The retake coming solely off of him. e-frag are going to pick up the first round here on the CT side, and they'll claim the pistol for themselves and start off with a lead here on map number 2. Huge play by Dreamer. That's going to be a huge start here for the guys on e-frag as well. Immediately going for the investments now. We'll see 3 rifles being picked up. I imagine Spy Leader's going to go for an SMG, and that is going to be the case here. Both of those guys will invest into their MP9s. Because they got a plant, however, TSM are actually going to take this round extremely light. P250s and Glocks at the most, nothing else being brought into this one. The big thing about this round is trying to get as much damage as possible onto their opponents. Is trying to take down these rifles and force the rebuy so the economy is going to be low, so that when they more than likely will force up on round number 3, they will not have to deal with as many, or they will have a greater chance of immediately forcing an eco, I should say, assuming they do win that round. But so far for TSM, things are not going very well at all. As we can see, Device is already down at 4 HP due to a very well-placed nade and some other residual damage that came out in his direction. And they just have a crossfire for this entire push, so TSM are not going to be going anywhere this round. e-frag responded to that far too quickly and just shut down the entire offensive before it can even get itself into the site. So it's a great hold from e-frag, and again, minimal losses. I don't actually think they lose anybody at all. Yeah, don't lose anybody on that round, so no rebuys really going to be needed, just reinvestments in utility, as they did have to use quite a bit of that. And obviously, as we expected here too, TSM will go back up for the AKs now, bringing those into the picture here, but a bit of a lacking on smokes and overall amounts of utility here, so it's going to have to be a pretty rough take on either of these sites after they get their smoke setup going. But they're going to try to go for mid-control very early on. A Device doing some work, picking up his first kill. Kerrigan finding a second. I believe that was Bubble, who was sitting inside of vents previously. Spy Leader there for a little bit of a response from Highway. He's able to pick up Dupree at the very least, but this is still not going to stop the momentum from crushing into this B site. Dreamer, it's going to be up to him to try and hold things out here. He is getting support from Spy Leader, but he may be arriving far too late to try and assist with him. But actually gets there just in the nick of time, but it's not going to stop KGB from eliminating Dreamer, as Spy Leader tries to go back down to CT main instead of going up towards Heaven. So now Spy Leader is actually just going to be the last player left alive. Device will take down NKLs. I think he tries to work his way back in through middle there. He'll be shut back out, and Spy Leader thankfully takes down Device before he can do any more damage. But now they know where he is, so they could technically hunt him down if they would choose to do so. Spy Leader's going to have to try and find a very safe place to hide this one, as they want to get that rifle out of his hands. To try and, again, press this onto an eco as quickly as possible from e-frag, because they're a very aggressive team, and there would not be a lot stopping them, judging from their performance yesterday. Try and force them onto an eco very, very early, or at least they're not really prone to do it. Even if they have the slightest hint that's needed to force up, they might just go for it. So we'll see what the choice they make. With this save, it's likely that they will try to go for another buy round here, but it'll be fairly limited if they do choose to go for it here. Actually, nah. 3 players way over the threshold needed to buy M4, so this should actually be a fairly well calculated one. And Victor 2 is going to get tossed to Hamas by Spy Leader, so Spy Leader is going to sacrifice his own utility. This will give Victor quite a bit of it, though, as he's going to have like $2,000 to buy up just his grenades. So that's going to be quite a bit for him, and we can see that coming into play now. The rest of these guys still get a very good buy too, so e-frag with that saved rifle can get a very, very confident buy about them here, with an okay amount of utility stacked up here too, so they do have another chance to try and stop TSM before they can really start to gain a lead. And as they work their way in, it's going to be a very, very quick attempt at a take here. 2-for-2 trade, but Zipnik's wrapping around Big Red, finds a third from the side of TSM, takes down NKL. Now they get A site control, and e-frag might just actually go for this now too. They know they've done some okay damage on the residual members here from TSM, but they're not really finding any way into the site, and no utility at all either. So again, they've been a team that's liked to save before. This is going to be a risky retake, but Bubble able to find the first strike as he works his way back in here. Takes down Cajun B. They've got no more coverage either in Squeaky or Naymane. Both the players, one in quad corner back over here, which is going to be Zipnix. Another one sitting behind Big Red, but Bubble, look at the movement right now. Wrapping around, finding the first one, dropping down, and oh my goodness, Device tries to run, but he can't escape it. Bubble, though, he doesn't have a kit to work with, and he's run out of time, so he has to run away and give the round over to XTSM, but that was a huge play from Bubble, and had he have had a kit, he might have just been able to pull that one off. Hugely lucky escape that comes out from the members of XTSM, but what a clutch that could have been from Bubble. So because of how well that previous round goes, e-frag again will prompt themselves into going for another buy this time. A little bit lighter, but for the guys over here on XTSM, they do expect, actually, this one to be a full eco, judging from the SMG that they've gone for the investment on. Thankfully, this does not hinder them very much at all. As we can see, Dupree with that Mach 10 still able to do work, and absolutely nobody goes down from the side of Team Question Mark or XTSM on their way into that B site. So they've already got full control, and because of how quickly that happens, e-frag have already given themselves up in this round. They're just going to shy away from it. And this is already going to be another point that goes into the direction of the T's here. Because there's not a whole lot that the members of e-frag can do, and again, they got a couple rifles, so it might be worth saving them here. But this is the problem with the sort of aggressive buying strategy. Apologies, lost my train of thought there for a second. This is to some degree the sort of problem that we've seen from e-frag in the past with their sort of aggressive buying strategy, is that yes, again, they're able to consistently save and they can keep these rifles in play for a longer amount of time, but now even with these rifles from the forceps that they've had going previously, now that they've had what you could probably call just a really bad round, they have to start from square one, building up that economy once again. And for some players, they're not even going to choose this round to do it here. They get an okay amount of money, and KL again goes for his armor pistol investment because he does have a little bit more money to do so, but they're working from the bottom up. They've got the losing bonus building up behind this, though, so this is where it does make a little bit more sense, because this should only still allow them to have to save up for really one round, and then they can immediately go into another big buy here, regardless of the result that pans out, or really any amount of saves. It'll be a little bit lighter. They should be sitting at around 4 to 5k, which will leave some players a little bit lower on utility, but it still sort of makes sense at the end of the day. And if they can pick up a round with this sort of strategy, which they have been able to do, they almost got one too, if you remember that play from Bubble, then it makes it all worth it, because again, obviously the force that succeeds is just going to be a round that succeeds, so that goes by their direction anyway. So they try to find their way into this B site. They're having a little bit of trouble doing so, as you can see, but finally it's shut down there by the members of XTSM. Dupree, Cajun B, and Device all picking up these kills, now just leaving it down to 2 more members from e-frag, and they're just going to go for this time, trying to get as much damage onto these players as possible. The smoke comes into CT main, and Bubble, I'm not exactly sure if he spotted Cajun B as of yet. I think he was firing some shots over towards Bubble's direction, so he might have been able to spawn him, but NKL, he's got this rifle, and that's going to allow him to pick up another kill, but he's been traded out now by Dupree. Peeks that for a little bit too long, and Bubble working his way up. He's got that rifle on the ground, so he can pick that up and work with it, but I think he's going to make the choice to once again fall back and try and save this, as he doesn't have armor, he doesn't have any utility. Would be very, very hard retake to make. So it's not going to be in his playbook to try and do this. He falls away, and XTSM should be able to pick up an additional round here now. Moving in just to try and pick up any of the extra guns or any of the extra utility that was left on the floor here. Then they retreat very promptly out of the site, and his final member from e-frag should have no trouble keeping himself alive at all. As now they'll have a okay lead going about themselves here and be able to grow this a little bit more too. But one of the big problems here for XTSM is not really being given a really good chance to build up their money just as of yet here, and in fact they're still kind of donating some guns around here a little bit. Cajun B is actually going to get dropped an op for him to use this time, and the rest of these guys too. We can see a couple donated AKs being brought into the picture, as the money's very uneven right now. We're seeing a lot of guys consistently going down from the side of XTSM, whereas some are staying alive for a lot longer, so they're not really getting a good chance to build up the money, but they're consistently winning rounds, and that's again going to keep them slowly stacking up those amounts as we get further and further into the half, if e-frag are not really able to find any sort of response at all to this one. And it seems at least at the beginning of this round that is going to be the case once again now, after XTSM picking up their first kill and second too from Cajun B. Man's doing work back over there in the back B halls, picking up 2 kills now, and the rest of XTSM looking to line up at the very least some grenades to work their way out over here into the A site. I don't actually think they're going to attempt to go for it though, because the bomb is placed way back over on B. And look at the fake potential that's been thrown out here now. Everybody from e-frag is biting on this. They've rotated in. They are still keeping some players in mid to watch out for that one, but with Device having success finding his way into the site, and especially with Victor finding a trade onto Kerrigan now, that is going to keep these players just mounted here. Even if we weren't seeing these players move in, more than likely this would have been a clean V-take, and they would have called a save now. So Zipnix shuts down Victor. You only have NKL, apologies, here to defend the site at this point. And Zipnix, he doesn't really have to go anymore because the fake has worked. They've gotten the bomb down. MKL's going to move in to look for a kill, but that's not going to pay off. And in fact, Zipnix actually waiting for this exact opportunity to pick up that final player, as he didn't know he was sitting back in that corner. Shuts him out of the play, and now gives the members of XTSM another round. Bringing them up to 2-5, and e-frag go right into another bye. Not waiting any time at all. This one still seems fairly good, as they get all 5 players up with rifles. 3 on FAMASas, granted, but still going to be very, very confident, just looking for those trades. And again, don't want to be played for the mind games that the members of XTSM have been throwing at them, but Device this time actually going to be shut down due to a lot of mid aggression that the members of e-frag have thrown in against him. They placed a heavy emphasis on defending middle, which is actually really well found out, just because of how light XTSM have been on these mid plays previously. They haven't really been going for mid all that actively, and even when they have, it's been at most 1 to 2 players, or they haven't been following up with it. They haven't really been using highway that much at all here to try to find a way onto the A site, nor have they been using the tunnels to get themselves into B. So it's very odd now that the members of e-frag suddenly decide to let's stack this middle area and try to counter them out, because it does allow them to pick up one early kill here on the Device since they find so much sitting there. But it works out because, again, when we did see any aggression at all being mounted by XTSM back over here towards middle, it was usually due to the boosts that KGB and some other players were throwing towards this. And that's exactly what they're going to find at the beginning. KGB looking for a response, but he can't catch anybody just as of yet. Let's turn the X-ray off, and he can't see anything, as you can see there, without the X-ray. KGB completely blind. He probably doesn't even know where he's been killed from at this point. Spy Leader also picking up Zipnix as well, and these final 2 are going to try to make a forced entry into this A site, but the rotations are on the way. However, the defenders are falling quickly enough, and NKL and Bubble going to have a dual spray angle there. They shut down the final 2 from the side of XTSM, and they will finally look for another, they will finally be able to find another response round here against the members of the T side. But now it's about consistency, keeping up these buys. With how aggressively e-frag have been going for their own buys, they're not really going to have a whole lot of money left over because they haven't been passively saving and whatnot, so it's not going to leave them with a lot in excess. If we immediately see the T's picking up an additional round, then it'll reset e-frag once again, and they'll have to start right back from square one. And that will actually, despite the fact that e-frag pick up another round, that will serve a lot better towards the T side's purposes, because of the fact that e-frag could potentially be looking at a double save, and that not only restores the advantage, but gives them another round in their favor. Zipnix making a lot of noise back over here, sitting outside and actually trying to connect a little bit of damage here too on some of the CTs that are trying to push inside of A main. Zipnix has a feeling that Victor's going to be moving in towards him and gets himself into a battle, wins it too. Not only this one, but Dupree picking up an additional frag over on towards Bubble. Starts the members of the T side off very, very well. Dreamer did pick up 1 response back over here, sitting by Head Glitch on the B site, but oh, actually he's lucky to be alive right now, and he's going to get another kill. Shuts out KGB, spots the intel that these players are coming back in. Kerrigan gets the jumping shot. Zipnix clotheslining Spy Leader as he tries to rush back in, and that one was going back and forth. Almost looked like e-frag were going to hold on to it for a few moments there, but that entry coming in there from Zipnix along with Kerrigan works out beautifully. They find their way into the site, and this final player, again, NKL, left with nothing to do but save. He has to fall away from this one and hand over the round to the guys over on the T side. XTSM are going to be taking back that lead, and assuming that we don't see any problems with the next deco round coming out from e-frag, they'll be right back up to gaining it even more so now. So, e-frag, again, some of the benefits that we were talking about before. A little bit unfortunate that a lot of that is not being shown today because of just how fast these members of XTSM are being here on their approaches. Not just this as well, but unlike some of the teams we saw yesterday, like Titan and Navi, they're not really covering, or I should say XTSM are covering a lot of their alternate angles. Like, they're constantly keeping people to watch out for the back B pushes and whatnot. They're constantly keeping people to watch out for basically the alternate site where they're pushing from. They have somebody watching the flanks at almost every single opportunity, and this is not allowing e-frag to get that huge sort of crunch potential that they had going yesterday, which allowed them to pick up so many rounds on their CT side. One of the big sort of strengths of e-frag's CT side strategy is being countered out right now by XTSM, and this is why they're being prevented from picking up so many points. But again, they're going to force here from the side of e-frag. And they start things off with a kill. Kerrigan thinks it's safe to press his way out towards middle to make a play towards here, but this is not going to be the case. Now Dupree finding a trade towards this one, and they'll start their conquest in towards the B site right now. Quite a few players from e-frag are close by, but are not going to be able to do anything about this, and KGB messing up big time in this duel versus Bubble. Brings it down to 7 HP, so thankfully he's able to scavenge it, and still ends up winning that one with very little damage going on to him, but Device, very close to picking up a kill there. Dupree finding another trade as his teammate falls, with Spy Leader pushing back up towards the head glitch. Now NKL drops down, picking up a first kill, looking for a second, he's going to find it. Now he's going to grab the third, but Dupree getting him into that duel, and he's going to be completely blinded by the pop flash from Dupree, so he finishes things off. And another very, very close battle goes by the way of the Terrorists here. XTSM pick it up once again and win yet another round, which e-frag this close to closing it out, but so many players are lost early on in the round, and again, that becomes the big caveat which causes the victory over towards the Terrorist side of this half. So with e-frag just recently forcing after their economy was immediately reset, they'll go on to another save here. Not really a whole lot that they're going to be able to do in this round. Members of XTSM should have their wits about them and basically be able to do whatever the hell they want, to be completely honest. We can see here that even towards the middle, KGB is going to be playing around with these guys a little bit, but because of the fact that he sticks around for a little bit too long and there is a heavy amount of mid presence from e-frag at the beginning, they aren't able to press forward and shut him down, which puts an AK into the hands of Victor. While all this is happening, unfortunately, it also allows the plant to happen on the A side, as they basically have to give that one up. So already, again, the round is over. It's going to be going by the way of the Terrorists. e-frag players end up sort of in the wrong positions, and it gives the round away over to the guys on the Terrorist side. Those with just the light pistols here are going to push in to, again, look for a couple gun upgrades if they can find them. But the rest of the players in this game are not really going to be... Well, I say the rest of the players, it's just Victor. Victor is not really going to be a part of this one. He'll be saving that AK. And not really seeing a whole lot of luck from either Bubble or NKL either, with trying to drop additional members of XTSM. NKL moving in, had probably the best chance to take down Zipnix out of anybody on his team, but not going to come out on top of it. They almost dropped Device too, but close but no cigar is basically going to be that round for the guys on e-frag, as they once again will fail to pick up any additional kills. And now they go into another invested round, which they're really going to have to try and pick up here. The round share the round score is getting way too heavily in the favor of the Terrorists right now, for a map which should be fairly even too. So e-frag need to try and find a way to turn this back around, otherwise the members of XTSM are just going to find too big of an advantage, which we might not be able to see e-frag find a way to come back from in that second half. It's going to get very, very dangerous here very soon if the members of XTSM are once again able to get themselves up towards even around 9, 10, or even 11 points here. Could be very dangerous territory for e-frag because of the way we saw it just in the last game. We saw the way that the second half ended up playing out. So we can't allow something like that to happen again with a huge advantage already built up here towards XTSM. Otherwise, it'll just go very, very badly here for these guys on e-frag. But to start it off here, Spy Leader doing a good job of holding over there by Forklift. He evens out the trade at the beginning, and Bubble able to jump up on top. Him and Victor are finding 2 kills. Now it's left all onto Device. And Device probably with the worst gun to clutch this one out. And he's got the op. Maybe some nades heading in his direction. He's looking for this player back over towards Highway, which is going to be Victor, but won't be able to catch him very early on in this round. He's got a lot of time to play with here, and that nade going to hit on the van, so won't be, or the truck technically, but it's going to be hitting anybody. But there's going to be a good flick from Device to at the very least shut down one more player. That is all they're going to grab. And he's going to get dropped, but actually a bit of a mistake there, technically. As we did see, I think it was Spy Leader that ends up, or one of the players that was left alive by truck ends up walking away a little bit too early. It was Dreamer, actually. Dreamer walks away a little bit too early when he was within range to go and pick up that op. The player that was sitting on Highway, which was Victor, was actually not close enough, and it looked like he wanted to try and go and pick that up towards the end of the round. He wasn't able to do that, so now we still don't see a CT-sided op coming out still in this entire half from e-frag. And that is going to put them behind once again, where they really could have used something like that. They're still not going for the choice to buy it up as of yet, despite having the money to do it on Bubble. They choose not to buy up the op, but they still manage themselves well anyway, as we can see here this time around. They've already dropped the opper from the side of XTSM. They're picking up kills left and right with so far only losing one of their own guys. Dupree, playing around on the A site, is able to pick up a kill. The problem becomes, though, is that KGB has to go on a mission to try and retrieve the bombs. It's down in the middle right now. We've got quite a few people looking out for the repick onto that one. He's just going to have to try and find a way to flank back around. There's actually nobody defending B, and you can see right now where everybody on e-frag is looking. Nobody's expecting KGB to flank in through the B site and catch these guys out in the middle, along with the highway approach over, or the truck approach back over there as well. So if he keeps quiet about this, This could be a huge play, but he's also got to have amazing trigger discipline to pull this off. Now moving in, he's going to spot one in the second. Is he going to take the shot, though? Sees him, but going to go for it early, and now again he's been revealed, but it evens out the fight. Now, though, 35 seconds. They've got to find both of these kills. Looking for the second one on a Bubble, but he's got to be a little bit careful about that. Bubble's got the better trade angle versus him. Moving back in, Victor's watching it too, trying to tap it, but he only gives himself away. But there's Dupree, finds the swipe trade, trying to finish off this final one, but Bubble is going to close things out for e-frag, and that is going to give them the round just barely. But again, this is exactly what they need to get back into this game now from the side of e-frag, and it keeps them alive for the time being, keeps them in this game, and we'll see the reinvestments immediately coming out. This is going to empty out the bank on the CT side. It'll be the same story this time from TSM, and this time they're actually not even going to be able to get full rifles. They've only got 3. The other 2 have to go for Tech 9 investments. So it's going to leave their money in a very vulnerable place on both sides. Both teams facing a reset after this round if they're not able to successfully come out on top of it. But it'll be Spy Leader from e-frag that picks up the first kills this time. They get aggressive back over in the back B halls, and Bubble trying to line up a spray. Does manage to take down Zipnix, but at a heavy cost to his own life. Down to just 2 HP. He's got to stay out of this play. CajunB tapping his way back in through the vents there, picking up the first one. Nae's rolling in from the CTs right now, and Dreamer taking a risk, popping outside onto the platform. Takes down CajunB. Victor on a flank too, shuts out Device, but Kerrigan making some kills back over on the site itself. Takes down 2. Now he's in a 1 versus 2. He's got a rifle to work with now, however, and he's got the bomb, so should be able to plant this with a minute left on the clock. Plenty of time to work with, but Victor has a great angle against him. He's hit way too heavily, though. Now down at 11 HP. We can see that Heaven push coming back in. Kerrigan in such a tight position right now, but it looks like NKL is going to give him some room to work with now as he falls back down towards Heaven. Kerrigan pushing in. He wants to find that kill into Victor. He's going to pick it up, but he's got to be careful because NKL could just drop him and fall in to find that kill. Kerrigan pulling away. NKL has no clue that he's escaped. And this is going to give Kerrigan the room he needs to rotate over towards that A site and get the plant going in there. The big question for NKL is, does he know this is happening? He's still looking out, thinking that he's going to re-enter, like he's gone out and then he's going to come back in. But he's going to be completely wrong in that, as Kerrigan has not only left the B site, but is going to be fully committing over towards A. So NKL now realizing what's going on. I don't even think he's going to attempt the retake. He doesn't have a kit. There should be one on the ground somewhere for him to maybe pick up. But regardless of it, doesn't really look like he might actually go for it. Yeah, he's going out towards middle right now. So it looks like he is going to go for this retake after all. But he wasted a lot of time picking up the guns and whatnot. And keep in mind, again, no kit. There could be one somewhere on that A site for him, but we're not the best start to the duel there. It does give away Kerrigan's position, but like we said before, Kerrigan can just waste all this time. So yeah, NKL, unfortunately, not playing that to the best of the way he could. Gets the lane information that it fell away towards the A site. Not able to scavenge a kit off of one of his teammates. He picks up an M4 at the very least, so trades out the FAMAS for that. But as he moves away from the site itself, he just gives himself out almost immediately after he goes in. It's the same story for Kerrigan, but it's not really Kerrigan that has to worry about being given away. It was NKL that had to try and move in sneakily and look for that opening kill that was needed to try and clutch it out in time, but not really being given a chance to do so. NKL thankfully able to fall away and get the save. Does give at least one player on e-frag here in this final round a semi-decent buy heading into it with full utility and whatnot, but it's going to be extremely broken for the rest of these CTs. And over here on TSM, they will once again hold the advantage in terms of their engagement power here as they work their way back over towards that A site. Just going to work directly into it. NKL forced into quad corner as soon as they go for the entry. He's going to get hit by a pop flash too, but not going to find them at the beginning. CajunB picking it up, as is Kerrigan. A site's already cleared out. We've got Victor sitting back further out towards Highway. The Molly's going to hold him back. He tries to peek, but he's clotheslined by Kerrigan, and Bubble also picking up finally at least one kill here for the CTs. But they've got to do a lot more than that. Dreamer's going to get pressured. He holds his own ground, but that nade coming in there is actually going to be finishing him off too. Now it's just Bubble, and they should have a pretty good idea that he's on Highway. Again, he's able to find one kill, but there's a player on upper, and he has no clue that Zipnix is sneaking up onto him. So TSM will close out the half the same way they did on map number 1. This time, though, from their T-sided perspective, it's jumping onto the CT side. If they're able to start their economy off strong, they should have no trouble whatsoever closing that out in e-frag. Maybe looking at, again, another very quick map number 2, which will not go their way, and the strength which they gained from taking down Navi yesterday is now seemed to have faded, and they're going to be relying completely on their T-side to save this half for them and take them on to map number 3 on train. So on e-frag's pistol round here for their T side. A lot of their players, pardon me, being moved back up now. A couple are going to move in to take control of middle. Not a whole lot of resistance from that on the side of XTSM. Only one player really inside of Z, and he's actually going to move further into the A site after he spots this, which is perfect, because this is exactly where the play is going to move in from. So fighting for the site might prove to be a better option. The trade's coming out fairly evenly, and Victor just spraying things down left and right. This gives Bubble an opportunity to find a kill, and Dreamer again finds out Zipnix there too. So it looks like e-frag may have a chance to save this game just as of yet. It's all left to Dupree to clutch a 1 versus 3, but over there towards Z is going to be Spy Leader. Not even expecting him to be playing that out towards there. That shuts him down, and e-frag with a very quick pistol round victory will start off their T-sided half and an advantage towards them, and immediately 4 out of 5 players here from the side of e-frag go right into their rifle investments. This will be a fairly light round coming out from XTSM. Very minimal investments on most of these guys. The only player that really buys up heavily is going to be Dupree, as he will buy the Deagle with armor. 2 others invest in the Deagle. It's basically the same CT-sided second round loss buy that we saw from them on the last map. So there's the 3 Deagles, one's got armor, and then the 2 P250s on Zipnix and Kerrigan. So nothing super duper heavy, but still with the ability to impact quite heavily if those Deagle shots will connect. Not seeming like that's going to be the case initially though, as Bubble boosted up on top and T-spawn, catching Kerrigan as he tries to get aggressive there, flanking in the back B halls. That will shut him down. And again, nothing else is going to be coming that direction. And in fact, the B site will be left completely open. So if this play from e-frag is going to prove to be slow enough, and we do see Bubble moving in to try and investigate the B site, they could find it's completely open and already basically end this round before any of the real combat begins. But it doesn't look like he's going to do that. Everybody just grouping up right now. And e-frag getting good amounts of control of middle. Then I'll be smoking that off and just going for the default approach to get themselves into the site. They find their way in. No real progress made to take down any members of e-frag, with the exception of Dreamer being brought down to 20 HP. And Spy Leader now coming in on a flank too. Finds Device. Might have to look for another one back over here by the truck, but thankfully that player not being too successful in his hits. Dupree does eventually end up taking down Spy Leader, but he's definitely given himself far too far away. And the rest of the team has already been taken down anyway. So there we have it. e-frag again shutting down another successful victory onto this T side. The next TSM will have to go for yet another save before they can get those guns in their hands. They'll have a +2 advantage before we see the investment coming out from the CT side. But something that is going to come into play, which we didn't see really at all, with maybe one exception in all 15 of the rounds from e-frag on their own CT side, is going to be an op being played by really... It could be being played by... Apologies. Lost my train of thought again. Being played by somebody over here on XTSM, as they're going to be able to pick that one back up. So e-frag taking it nice and slow. They know that the members of XTSM are going to be out of cash for this round, or will be taking this round extremely light. So they're just going to watch out for any aggression inside of A main here at the beginning of it. Kerrigan trying to investigate for that mid pressure once again, which came into play on that previous round. They're not going to find any of it. Picks up Victor now. And again, the mollies will start to roll in here. Kerrigan looking for the taps, and he's going to find one, bringing down Victor to about 45 of his HP, but won't be connecting anywhere else onto him. Dreamer now looking for another peek as well to get himself out here, and down goes Dupree as he lines up the headshot here. Entries start to come in. Dreamer, a little bit of trouble connecting that truck kill, but now the nade's going to come back, and that'll force Device out of his position, and actually is going to take him down because he doesn't have armor. Lining up more and more here, and Victor up on top, waiting for more players to rotate in from truck. He's going to shut down KGB. Beautiful positioning now from e-frag on this T side. And then Spy Leader just going to roll right in and pick up the final kill now to end these eco rounds from XTSM. And now we see the op being played into the members of the CT side here. Kerrigan going to be picking up the op for the time being. I don't believe he'll be trading it back off to anybody. So we'll see how well he is able to shut things down with this one. And where he's going to play it from, more importantly. Looks like it's going to go over towards A, as the members of e-frag have been leaning towards heavily on the A push. But, oh no, this is going to be a big mistake here. He's going to come into the vents very quickly. It's a full 5-man push from e-frag going into the B site. Thankfully, there's a smoke from the CT, so it holds it off initially. They've got to move more people into here, and thankfully they've done so a bit preemptively. Dupree's going to stick in the vents. One I think is completely committed now. And yes, it is. KGB has put himself just in an angle to where he can see what's on the other side of the smoke, but he doesn't actually spot anything. And more importantly, too, Zipnix rotates off the B side. All of the CT side of pressure is going to come from inside of checkers here. So they're going to walk in. If they don't check checkers, that could be a bad thing, because now KGB is going to line up quite a few of these guys. He needs the support from his teammate, but they work in. They know the bomb's here. There's no support, though. Dupree still sitting inside of the vents right now. Dupree's going to work his way back out, looking for the trade. He's going to find if Bubble's able to wrap and find the trade for the trade. Now it's down to a 3 versus 3. Zipnix almost lining up another kill into Bubble, but not going to be able to take him down. Gets his way through, and now should be able to get the safe plant position. This is probably the worst spot spot for the members of XTSM to have to work for a retake from, and NKL shutting down Device too. This retake not looking very good at all from XTSM. They'll hold it back for a couple extra seconds, but it's still going to come into play now. Kerrigan looking for a way to get himself into this site. He's got to be very careful of teammate, looking for the player on back, and Kerrigan messing up as he tries to escape. He's going to be trip line there, and that's going to be NKL that shuts him out of the picture. Now Bubble coming out, finds the final kill, and it's a shutdown from e-frag. The full 5-man push to the B site goes oh so well, and unfortunately XTSM, I don't think they really ever fully understand what exactly is happening there on that take. And as such, they're shut out time after time again, losing all their players, and they immediately again have to be shut down onto another eco round. So usual split once again from the CT side. Not really seeing anything super aggressive as of yet beyond what Device had done here to push himself inside of A main, and he very quickly abandons that because of the damage he's taken. Dupree will be able to find at least one shot from his position as he shuts out Bubble. He did pick up a kill in a Cajun B before that transpired though, so still heavily leaning towards the members of e-frag. On these eco rounds, these even trades are not really going to give the members of XTSM any sort of big advantage here. They need to look for free kills against their opponents, and XTSM judging the positions completely wrong right now. They are trying to line up a flank actually, as you can see now, one player moving inside of A main, but that's going to fail. Device finding another kill into NKL gives the members of the CT side a little bit more room to work with, and also a little bit more time to get into position too, because it slows down the push from e-frag to a big degree. But I think also XTSM misread this a little bit. You could see Dupree fell away and actually wanted to check the B side in case the play was coming in there. This was not the case, and now that left the truck angle a little bit more overexposed, and as he tried to reapproach it, he's just shut down by Dreamer. So now the final two are stuck back over here on Highway. One of them doesn't even have a deagle, which is going to be Zipnix, trying to line up kills versus Spy Leader, but with no armor or anything, he's going to have a very short-lived life. Device again will just look for really the exit against Spy Leader at this point, as he knows he's not going to be able to retake it. Crawling in there! Ooh, not going to be able to find anything else. Dreamer will shut him down, and that will be e-frag now tying us up at 10 rounds. And at what the hell? So that's to say, we'll go into another rifle round for XTSM, but it's more like an op round. Technically ops are rifles, so I'm still correct, but okay. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes. Kerrigan, Cajun B, and Device. All with ops. So this will be fun to watch once e-frag finally figured out what exactly this is. This is basically going to be a north or south round for XTSM, because this can either go really well, or if it pressures the area where there's ops, if enough players from e-frag pressure the area where the ops are positioned, then, well, they're probably going to die pretty quickly, as they won't be able to deal with that many players moving in that fast with the firepower of the op. So going well for the time being, but overall we haven't really seen that much of an attempt to take a site just as of yet here. But again, now this is e-frag playing the strategy exactly to how this triple op setup could actually work for it, because they're playing it super slow. The NKL with a great peek though finds a headshot over towards Kerrigan, and Bubble waiting for another one. It takes down Dupree on the way out there, so they've even traded it. Now they've got it even once again here. But Zipnix peeking back by the forklift, finding a first kill, looking for the second back over there into Victor. Not going to be able to shut him down, but Device finding Bubble looking the complete wrong direction back over on Highway, and now it's just over here on Victor. He is making some progress on trying to take down at least one of these two remaining ops. But again, he has to try and peek himself outside, and oh, Device actually missing that shot, and Victor doesn't take any damage for that peek here too. Looking for a way back out, but the CTs are actually evacuating. They're getting him some room to work with. He has the bombs. They've got to be careful of the Zipnix trying to line up the shot. Victor looking for that headshot. Victor needs to plant this though, and there we go. Lining it up. It's going to be Cajun B that picks up the op shot from Z, shuts it out, and XTSM will retake the lead just before they were about to lose it. And the ops come back into their hands. They do abandon two of... Actually, no, they still have two of them, so it's still going to be a double op setup. The third one, which was dropped, I think, back over towards middle, though, is not really going to be recoverable. And doing that 2 times in a row would be very bold anyway, so I think it's okay that they sort of let the third one die, as that was a bit of a cheeky move there, which I don't really think is going to work multiple times. You can already see e-frag doing the counter to this, as we were talking about before, which is just having everybody come out at once, because there's no way the op's going to be able to shut down that much. 3 ops, I should say, are not going to be able to shut down that much pressure. And regardless, this type of aggressive strategy is going to work anyway now from e-frag. They push back in. XTSM was not expecting this at all, so with Zipnix and Device, the natural defenders of the A site, were just completely shut down there. There's at least Dupree picking up one back over here towards middle, as he was trying to watch out for flanks, but the rest of the team, I still don't think they're really going to be able to work a 3 versus 4 retake, and they think the same. So they've fallen away from this one. They're going to be giving this round back over here to the T's once again, and the game will remain very, very close. Has no one really mounting a very large advantage as of yet. Three biggest guns, though, the three possibly most valuable players here from XTSM are going to keep themselves alive more than likely, as e-frag are still very far away from actually finding the location of any of them. They have a pretty good idea, but hunting them down would be very unwise, as obviously 2 ops, so you can just think about the crossfire angles that could be set up with this one to shut out numerous players. e-frag. Now we'll go for yet another investment. I'm starting to sit on a nice pile of cash here, too. 11.3k on Dreamer. I think it was 8.6 or 6.8. How much was it? 8.5. Sitting on MKL. And 6.8 on Victor. So decent amount of money left for the T's now. Just after really 1 round loss, too. So they don't really take a whole lot of damage from that one. And unfortunately for the guys on XTSM, they're going to have to do some work to get back into this game confidently, as they have to work against a whole lot of money still left over from the T's, as they've had 5 rounds in a row, and then a 6th one just picked up only after losing 1. So that round did not really cost them all that much cash, and they're still sitting in a very comfortable position to buy up for at least 2 to 3 more rounds here, maybe even 4 too, because they're going to be buying through a losing bonus. So they're going to be also conscious of that decision and trying to take out as many players from the T side as possible in these rounds to try and keep that money low. So XTSM actually taking a very interesting path this time with the way that they've mounted their defense. Zipnik's hiding by the white box, but they got McCree inside of the vents. He's going to fall out short when it comes to the spray angle, but thankfully there is a player back over here. Device is able to pick up the response kill over on a Dreamer. That shuts him down, and Victor's stuck right now in the mid-cubby, so he can't do anything. There's Kerrigan working with the op on the A side as the actual take is going to begin. They haven't gotten mid-control, and Kerrigan is just shutting down the actual attempt to get themselves into the A site. That doesn't go anywhere at all. And unfortunately, this round ends very quickly in the favor of XTSM, shutting it down. Only 1 kill goes against them, too. They only lose Dupree that time, so it's very clean. That's going to help to build up their own economy on this CT side. And everybody on e-frag, too, just gets shut down. No intel or anything as to where exactly they were being played from. So e-frag basically work into exactly the type of setup that XTSM were hoping they would, and it just shuts them out of the play. With no entries being found and whatnot, too, and again, they basically just, at least in middle, because if they had gotten middle, that A-take would have gone a lot better. But because of the fact that, again, after they lose one of their players, the only other one that was in middle was sort of stuck there inside of the cubby, so he can't make any progress, and no one else fell back from A main to try and help him out a little bit more, despite it really just being 1 player sitting back over there towards sandbags. If they'd taken him down, again, that's highway control, and then they can use that to get into A. They still, from my memory, too, had an okay amount of time left to make that play. So they definitely could have had that as an option, but this is part of the problem on e-frag's T side, is they're very hard-headed about their offense, is that once they commit to something, they're very unlikely to give it up and try to work for some other kind of take here, unless it obviously is going to be directly in front of their eyes that it would be beneficial to them. So this is another example of it too. Now they're still pushing in towards middle, and despite the fact they've lost 2 players already, Bubble's still going to try to press forward with it, and that's the price he pays. He just goes down. Device shuts down an additional player from back over here at the forklift angle, and he's going to take out Dreamer, the last player left alive here too. So that will be another round going in their direction. As they continue now to build things up here, and that CT side starting to look better and better as e-frag has been found out. XTSM, they've had a couple of rounds now to really analyze things a little bit better and figure out exactly how e-frag have been playing their own offense, and now they've run into it here. Now e-frag have to innovate a little bit more and figure out how to counter this defense out from the side of the CTs. Give me one second, guys. I don't think we have any mods in our chat, so I had to ban somebody who was spamming. But this round starts off in an even traded situation once again, with some action happening towards the back B halls. But it does prompt e-frag to fall away from their initial choice of strategy here, with them moving away towards it. So now they're going to transition pretty much everybody back over here towards middle, and KGB realizes this too, so he's actually going to leave the B side basically open, as e-frag are now going to change up the game plan to go over towards an A take, which is also fairly... which is also pretty undefended, to be completely honest right now. It'll be just Zipnix who's rotating in, and he wasn't even here a second ago. There's no one else coming in to support this right now. Kerrigan gets word that there may be play here, so he does rotate up highway. The defense is getting a little bit better, so e-frag unfortunately played this rotate a little bit too slowly, and it's somewhat obvious as to what they're doing after they give the members of XTSM enough time to analyze the situation. So they're going to start mollying and nading off all the angles. They'll be given no time, really, to press their way back in here. Victor, KGB, and Kerrigan all picking up frags, but it favors XTSM once again now, as KGB is going to be able to drop Bubble, and Kale and Victor slowly trying to forge their way outside of Squeaky and A main here, but the smokes start to fall away. They're trying to use their own, But another Molly comes back out inside of Amy, and they look for the entry. NKL finds it, but he's very, very low. And the device shutting out the final two players, actually just barely surviving that encounter too with only 12 HP. But they do manage to scavenge it back together, and they still keep the double ops in play. Haven't had to drop those in a while, actually. So these have been in play for quite a few rounds now, and they've not had to rebuy them just as of yet. So this is a very, very expensive... This is a very, very expensive strategy from the CT side, but they're keeping it consistent, and that's a big part of why we've seen now TSM be able to round back, because we're not really seeing any holes in their economy at the moment here. They're consistently able to go for the rebuys. It does keep their money low, with some players having to repick this back up and have to go for full utility rebuys along with buying back up the M4, but now they've gotten to a point where they've been able to some degree, break e-frag, or at least break them as much as you're going to on that T side with them being as heavily as they are. e-frag are going to force up here on the 14th point, and it's a quick attempt to get into control of the A side here. Device holding strong, but Victor does find a trade. Little does he know, though, that Dupree is sitting back over on the highway, so he's going to win finally a battle versus him there. He did some damage, though, before he was finally shut down. Found 2 kills and keeps the vein even for the time being. Now Device, still the champion of forklift so far in this game, shuts out an additional player, Spy Leader, who moves out to try and attempt to take him down. KGB going to throw this Molly back over there into the quad corner. That might force Bubble out, and there we go. They shut him down. The last one alive is going to be Dreamer. He finds a first kill, wrapping out, looking for Device. He's going to find him now, trying to clutch this out as KGB wraps around. They're racing around each other right now, but they've seen it, so they've got to be careful. Sticking the bomb a little bit here to try and force him outside of cover, but at the same time, this is going to be a very hard battle for KGB to win because he's only got the pistol, but he's going to do it as he's actually run out of ammo, but there's no... What? He actually doesn't have enough time. There's no time left on the clock, so KGB's got to run away, and it looks like that final member of e-frag was able to buy enough time, just enough time, in order to cause the bomb to blow up, so e-frag barely escaping that round with a victory, and again, doing a whole lot of damage to the CTs here too, so he's not going to be able to get that defuse in time because he runs out of it, and e-frag keep themselves in this game for the time being. Now Kerrigan dropping down from heaven, finding a first kill, finding a second. We get right back into the action. He gets a little bit too aggressive though, and Victor is able to find a trade for that one as he takes him back down. Now this is going to prompt the rush into the B site. And they are ready for this to some degree. Zipnik's lining in the vents, waiting for somebody to go and peek him so he can find that kill. And now moving back out, there's a perfect pop flash. Zipnik, no trouble at all to casually just roll back out and find that kill. And now this is very unfortunate for e-frag because they just picked up a round. Their losing bonus has been reset now, and they have basically no cash coming into this round. It's going to be a Tech 9 Force once again. Maybe a Galil on NKL, but that would be the only rifle they would have on this team. And he's actually going to buy up Tech 9 too so they can have a little bit of armor. But that's just a shutdown from TSM after losing a round, just barely. And that's not going to be helpful here for e-frag, as this might just end up being it here. We'll have to see what they can forge forward with. The odds are not looking good, to say the least. So they take it slow at the beginning for quite obvious reasons on the T side here. There's a lot sitting on this round right now. If they manage to make it through with a couple more of these, they could be heading to the land, but when we take a look at the side of TSM, they will now pick up the first kill. It'll be Device finding it. And this is going to give KGB a lot of room to press forward too, but he's going to be in a close range battle versus Bubble. Bubble right now. Oh, Bubble hitting the headshot, shuts him out. That's going to take him down. Spy Leader picking up an additional kill here too. They're rounding it back. Now they've got the 2 ops, but Dupree, he's going to pick up the rifle. But he's also been forced out of the site, and this should give them the room they need to rotate the bomb back in here. Dreamer's going to move up highway to try and put some pressure back over here, but he's actually sitting behind the shed. So Dupree not really going to be able to give himself an opportunity to take down the bomb planter here as he works his way back in, and see Dreamer is taking down one of them. Dupree trying to clutch this out in a 1 versus 3, getting up into the face of Bubble, takes him down, stops the bomb from being planted, now picking up the op, looking for Dreamer. He knows he's still on highway somewhere, especially with that nade rolling back in, and he just shuts it down. Dupree clutching in the final round there, gives the victory for today to the guys over here on TSM. They're going to take the set 2-0 against e-frag. This does mean that e-frag have lost their chance to make it to the land, unfortunately. And as for the guys over here on TSM, they either now, I'm trying to remember exactly how the format works for the online portion, but they're either are qualified for the LAN or they have to face off against the winner of our next set, and then they're qualified. I can figure out the details later, but assumably, again, you guys will be hearing about that in a couple of weeks anyway. But that is going to close out our first set for today, guys. The next match should be coming up in about an hour. It's going to be Envious versus Team Dignitas starting at 21 CET, so be sure to stick around for that. But if you can't afford to do so, or if you have some other things to do, thank you all very much for tuning in. And if you've enjoyed the cast, you can go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. It's at BLUCSGO, completely up to you, of course. We'll catch you guys next time if you're not going to be here, but once again, we'll be returning in about an hour with our next set here, which is going to be Envious taking on Dignitas.